Let him go and look at his ugly face and character in the mirror. And let him know whether Ndi Igbo cares about apologies from such a people, such a creature that has continually failed. If I can remember, Reuben Abati is the first presidential spokesperson that spoke an incumbent president, democratically elected president in Nigeria, to defeat. It has never happened. President Goodluck Jonathan, an incumbent elected, democratically elected government, elected president, Reuben Abati is the first presidential spokesperson to speak him to defeat. And he acknowledged that it was his own ignorance. You know, after I love the Yoruba and they love me in return. And there is nothing a Reuben Abati and his ugly character and ugly content creation would do about it. Yoruba people are accommodating, they are loving. Both males, both females. I've acted with them on stage, I've dealt with them. I lived in that land for 17 years. Do you sell land to your own people? No. Everybody has land. If you are a man in Igbo land, you're entitled to a plot of land in your own land. So if there was any land sold by Ndi Igbo, it is sold to people who are not Ndi Igbo. And then, how can somebody ignorantly begin to make such statement? Reuben Abati simply celebrated his ignorance publicly. And let me tell you, he offended the legal profession, because in law, you don't condemn a people unheard. You cannot condemn a people without hearing from their side. He just said he borrowed a language from T.O.S. Benson without even knowing the context. And he ran to television and established it and asserted it as a fact. It's against the legal profession. And he condemned Ndi Igbo unheard. What he would have done is to get an Igbo expert to be educated or present him on the studio to talk on behalf of Ndi Igbo. He offended journalistic profession. Is either you are talking as a moderator or as a guest. When you are a moderator, your job is to bring opposing sides. Interview two of them. They will give you their views. Then you allow the public to make up their opinion. Or you are a guest, and then you will be interrogated by the moderator, who will now be playing the devil's advocate to ask you cross-examination on the things you claim. But this is a man who just came on air, formed an opinion, and intimidated the journalists around him, and started saying it out without fair hearing and without allowing Ndi Igbo to examine what he's saying, and without allowing any other journalist to cross-examine him. He has displayed absolute hatred, absolute anti-Igbo mentality, and absolute ignorance of both legal and journalistic profession. No wonder Reuben Abati is the first presidential spokesperson that spoke an incumbent president, democratically elected president in Nigeria, to defeat. It has never happened. President Goodluck Jonathan, an incumbent elected, democratically elected government, elected president, Reuben Abati is the first presidential spokesperson to speak him to defeat. And he acknowledged that it was his own ignorance. You know, after the regime of Goodluck Jonathan, he wrote a piece, "Is Aso Villa bewitched?" And he said because he will plan everything and think that what he's going to say is going to make a point, that everybody will love it. And we thought that everybody will turn against what he's saying. No, Aso Villa is not bewitched. The only person that is playing the role of a witch here is Reuben Abati. When he was the presidential spokesperson, he was ignorant of what he was doing. He was incompetent. And then he's blaming witches and wizards. Witches and wizards have suffered in this country. And that was how he spoke his president, incumbent, to defeat. I don't want to remember how the only politician he accepted to be deputy governor to is a man who is internationally, wanted for some drug dealing issues. And this is what a man who is purporting to be a man of integrity, this is the person he agreed to be his deputy governor. As a politician, he has failed woefully and will continue to fail. And he should stop living his disaffection of politics because of his failure. His failure in politics. He should know where to carry such a disappointment to, not to vent his unruly anger on Igbo people. And you know what? They gave him an opportunity to withdraw his statement or make amends. I saw Ojiobe trying to tell him it is not good to use one brush to condemn a people. I say he's unapologetic about it. Let him go and look at his ugly face and character in the mirror. And let him know whether Igbo cares about apologies from such a people, such a creature that has continually failed. If I can remember, it's the name Ndoka that is paying his salaries in Arise Television. If he hates Igbo like that, doesn't want to have anything to do with anything Igbo, he should first of all resign from Arise and stop collecting anything from Igbo and stop painting the Yoruba in bad light. Let me tell you about the Yoruba. I was in Yoruba land for 17 years. Omo Luabini. Let me tell you who taught me concept of Omo Luabi. Professor Babatunde Akin Oyebode. When he saw me in his office the first time, he said, "Young man, you have good vibes, or what the Americans call good aura. Yorubas are very accommodating." And he loved me and cherished me all through. Let me tell you about the Yoruba. I've always told people that was the place that we found the largest concentration of Igbo movie actors when we were doing Living in Bondage. And we felt so accommodated in Yoruba land that we were even thinking we were in our homes. Nobody was harassing us. Some of them gave us their houses, and we acted Living in Bondage that started Nollywood that is benefiting everybody. I've acted movies with actors and actresses from Yoruba land. I never picked a quarrel one day from any of them or with any of them. Let me tell you another incident. The first car I bought in my life was Mercedes 230. Remember then? The second one I bought, if you check it there, it's still there, put in Tapolin, Mercedes 500 S-Class. I was in my house one day when one of my Yoruba brothers came in, a police officer. He said, "Look, I have just gained admission. I have children. I don't have mobility. You have 2 cars." I think the guy was brilliant. He knew I had become born again. And maybe he knew that in the Bible they say if you have 2 coats and your brother doesn't have any, go to him. So when he was saying that, the scripture was playing on my head. And I remembered that the Yorubas love me and I love them in return. I gave him the Mercedes 230 flatboat, the first car I ever bought. He's still alive. He may still be alive. Nice guy, a police guy. They were taking special interest on everything that happened in my house because my house was close to the police station. And I related with him as a brother. Especially when I remembered how Fajui told the people that wanted to kill Aguironse that you will not take him. They killed him too. When people begin to say Yoruba people are this and that, no, you don't paint a people by the action of a person, because that person is not doing it in their name. Whatever Tinubu or Reuben Abati is doing is not in the name of the Yoruba. It's in their names. We should be holding people personally responsible, assuming without even considering. It's one Igbo man that made that comment. Why would you attribute it to the entire Igbo people? If an Igbo person say, I don't want to sell my land to you, why would you go and say, Ndi Igbo, do not sell land to the strangers? How then are they very good, astute business people? Let me tell you another thing that happened. For you to know the love I share with the Yoruba. When I went in to read for my master's in international law and diplomacy, all the Yoruba in my class, majority of them, they came together and said, I was going to be their president. I thought they were joking. Because there was an alumnus of University of Lagos that was there who was interested in that post. But they said, no. We have seen in this man, the little days we have been with him, that he has the intellect, the character to be a good leader. Another Igbo man was interested. I went to that Igbo man and said, look, step down for me. Because it's not good for us to go into this divided. Then I would have stepped down for you. But because it is this Yoruba people that came to me, if I step down for you, they would think I sold the mandate. He refused. And the Yoruba people insisted. Do you know, we went into the election. And they voted for me. And I won. And I used my resources. Then I was sitting pretty sure on some fortune, little fortune, as the first actor that acted the first movie that started in Hollywood. I used my little fortune, did so well for them, even had a dinner for them in Sheraton without asking for any annual dues from any of them. It was one good turn deserves another. So when you want to paint the Yoruba in any light, you know what I'm going to tell you? I love the Yoruba and they love me in return. And there is nothing a Reuben Abati and his ugly character and ugly content creation would do about it. Yoruba people are accommodating, they are loving. Both males, both females. I've acted with them on stage, I've dealt with them. I lived in that land for 17 years. I was born in the southeast. So my stardom was born in the southeast. It rose in the southwest. And now it is shining in the north. What a Nigerian. So you can see why I'm in love with southeast, I'm in love with southwest, and I'm in love with the north. Because I have interacted and I have been in all these places and they have blessed me and I will bless them in return at any opportunity. So what Reuben Abati said was unfortunate, uncalled for. He reflected his own anti-Igbo hatred and he will be held accountable. And like he himself said, he said he's unapologetic about it. Just as I am totally unapologetic about what I'm saying about him. One thing he was quoting, it has been established that the man is even an in-law to Igbo people. And the content of it is that when the man wanted to buy land, they told him, no, you are our in-law. We will not sell land to you, we will give you land anytime you want to come to build. So, people's goodness, because of his anti-Igbo posture, is now being misconstrued. The man was actually saying how happy he is being an in-law to Ndib. And if you saw Theo Benson, you saw that he continued dressing in a cute form. The wife will make sure that he comes out best with that his, and he was just looking cute until he passed on. And so when you want to talk about the people, be very careful. He said he doesn't have apologies. Yes, that's how evil people do. But I want to remind you, the evil that men do live after them is in the internet. We will always remember that evil he has spoken and done against Ndi Igbo until he retraces it and withdraws it. Ndi Igbo sells lands to anybody that can afford it. Come to my place. I'm the son of a man who dealt in real estate. And once you can afford the money, you have any choice of land you want. We are the custodians of University of Nigeria. Every Nigerian is welcome in our home, even before we were born. The Constitution says the primary duty of a government is the security and welfare of its people. In Nigeria, it's even illegal for you to possess firearms. So a group of people who are non-state actors are terrorizing the southeast. And all the police people are doing, the security agencies, to establish roadblocks from Enugu to Onitsha. 45 minutes drive, you have more than 30 roadblocks. They are roadblocks of extortion. And yet they are saying insecurity in the southeast. How possible? You don't give people, you don't even give a state government the power to defend itself. People are ordered to stay at home. And when any of them comes out, they will be shot down. They will be killed. And you, the government, you are not providing adequate security. And you're blaming the people. Let me ask you, how many times have they blamed Northeast for the insecurity visited on Northeast by the insurgents? How many times have they blamed Northwest for the banditry, for the terrorism, for the robbery, for the insurgency that is going on in the Northwest? Farmers' headers clash in the North Central. In the Southwest, you saw how many traditional rulers have been killed, assassinated. In the South, you still hear about oil thieves. How many times do they blame those citizens for being the cause of the insecurity? And those ignorant men, those incompetent men in government, those anti-Igbo people with anti-Igbo sentiments, they would want to blame Ndi Igbo for the insecurity in the Southeast. When IPOP started, it was the Southeast governors that came together for the first time to prescribe all the activities. No other governors of any of the geopolitical regions have ever done that. Yet they're opening their mouth to say the insecurity in the Southeast is caused by the people of Southeast. No, it is caused by the incompetence, corruption of the ruling elite. Since 1999, nobody from the Southeast had become president or vice president, so how could it have been caused? This insecurity in the Southeast is not the worst in Nigeria. So the issue here is that the government should step up its security, not just in the Southeast, but all over Nigeria, and take away the causes of the insecurity. And of course, you cannot rule out the fact that poverty is part of what is creating insecurity. Because human beings must survive. So the government should improve the socio-economic welfare of Nigerians. And they should make more investment in modern technology of fighting. You don't fight with bayonets or horses anymore. You go on the modern technology and you ensure that you remunerate the security agencies very well, so that they will fight insecurity and we will have peace. Insecurity in the Southeast is caused by the same thing that causes insecurity in other parts of the region, and it's the duty of the government, especially in a country where even to possess firearms is illegal, to bring about security in the Southeast and around the whole nation. So the cause of it, incompetence and corruption of the government in power. Let me first of all admit that in the archaic laws of the Criminal Code Act and the Penal Code Act that were enacted probably before I was born. You see the sections, maybe section 373 of the Criminal Code Act that governs the Southern region, and maybe section 391 of the Penal Code Act. You see traces of criminalizing defamation. However, some states, knowing that some of those provisions were part of what we inherited from the colonial masters, who wanted to shield themselves from the painful pens of the freedom fighters, they now criminalized anybody that will bring their actions to disrepute. And that was the reason for all this defamation, purportedly as a criminal offense. But when nations saw that criminalizing defamation may stifle free speech, because if you go to the Constitution, section 39, freedom of expression is generously couched to say a man has the right to receive idea and information and has the right to express it the way he deems fit without undue interference. So because of the fear that when you criminalize defamation, it could impinge on the freedom of people to express themselves freely. Because the greatest secret of the success in a democracy is accountability and transparency. So when people are allowed to express themselves freely, they hold the government in power accountable, and the government will become transparent. And that is why they made copious provisions in